We need to remember constantly that we are in the service industry. We don't have a product to rely on. So a brand now, it is not about the logo. It is not about the website. It is not about the ads that you can put out there. A brand is the experience that people feel when they consume your service or when they interact with your service or they consume your product.
Welcome to your Waking Up to Win podcast. I'm your host, Mark Pessin, Chief Learning Officer at Realty One Group. Each day, we're excited to provide podcast episodes featuring industry leaders and our own industry experts, armed and ready to share timely and relevant messages designed for today's real estate professional. As rapidly changing as this current situation is, one thing that is steadfast and stable is the talent and energy of today's guest. His ability to build brand is beyond exceptional. We're certain you will leave today's podcast with much value and many takeaways. Let's welcome Juan Caicedo, co-founder of Matilde Agency.
Hey, superstar. Thank you so much for inviting me. I am so excited to be here.
Juan, you're actually more than a part of the One family, yet for those listeners who don't know you, please share your story with us.
So for those that don't know me, I am Juan Caicedo, more known as Realty One Group, #SexyFace. By the way, that was the word that I used to use when I was taking pictures. When I started working with Realty One Group, I wanted to get a smile of people and say, hey, sexy face. And they usually say that. So we have been with the company for 8 years. My wife was actually the one who started with Realty One Group, and then I followed her. I was recently moved to USA, and my English was not that good, almost to zero. So actually there are pretty funny stories on how we came up with concepts out of acting and mimicking and just drawing icons in a whiteboard, etc. But as you can see, when you have a clear idea, when you have passion for something, it is possible. But anyway, my background is as a director and producer of TV and video. I went to film school back in Colombia. I got graduated when I was really young. I was 20 years old, and it was really hard to find a job in the industry, as you can imagine. So the only opportunities that I found were in internet departments. This was 2007, 2008, so there were not a lot of budgets for an internet department. There was usually an experiment out there to try to keep the website alive. So actually, that was kind of a blessing for me and my career because I was able to become resourceful and I was able to connect with digital marketers, journalists, and to start to explore in this digital era really early on. So we were able to create concepts and formats that were not that common, that were not that well founded, but that were giving results. So that's what we wanted to bring here to Realty One Group when we started. How to create content, how to make your content fun and attractive and easy for people to access and to share. And that's what we have been doing for the past 8 years.
Well, it goes without saying that those who know you love you. And I mean that personally and professionally. Your work has its own signature, dynamic, intentional, specific, and authentic. My friend, you've got brand. So let's talk about brand. Why is it important for a professional to create and live their own brand?
Oh, thank you so much. And I guess what you experience it's my passion. And even though I am not a product, I have a brand built out of the experience of everyone that interact with me. And that is a perfect segue for why it's so important to have a brand. We need to remember constantly that we are in the service industry. We don't have a product to rely on. So a brand now, it is not about the logo. It is not about the website. It is not about the ads that you can put out there. A brand is the experience that people feel when they consume your service or when they interact with your service or they consume your product. It is really important to have that mindset around what is a brand. A brand is actually a living organism that we need to constantly curate, that we need to constantly update, that we need to constantly keep alive. I believe a personal brand is all about sitting down and to start to think what I am going to offer different. how I am going to deliver that, and why I am different than anyone else to provide this service.
So let's get specific. What does personal brand look like for today's realtor?
Oh, that's a great question, because we were talking before that as a professional in a service industry, you don't have a product to rely on, right? But imagine as a real estate professional how important it is to be aware of that, because we need to remember that in real estate, we are dealing with the most important transaction of someone's life. Either is the lifetime savings, or is their plan of retirement, or is the legacy for their kids. We need to be aware of that. And your service here is founded in that trust, and it's built on how good are you in delivery, how good are you, and how experienced are you. So those are the things that you need to consider and to be aware when you are starting to build your brand. It is to think, what I am offering different than anyone else. How can I get the trust of the people based on the experience that I have and the knowledge that I have?
In building one's brand, what are 3 to 5 essential ingredients that are needed to be memorable and provide a great return on investment?
Awesome. So I'm going to give you probably the best advice that a mentor of mine gave me in Colombia. He was a research journalist, and this really changed my life since then. And I use it very often. And it is to answer the 5W questionnaire. The 5W question, which are what, why, who, how, when, or where. It depends on the situation. So let's go through that. I promise you, this is really easy to do. Anyone can do it. I use it daily in my practice. I use it daily when I am trying to come with ideas, or trying to come with concepts, or creating a brand, or creating a video, creating anything. You can really use this to bring focus and to start to create your brand, and to write down what do you want to accomplish with your brand. Okay. So the first one is the what. What I am doing. What service I am providing? Real estate. Yes. For who? For what audience? So you're starting to clean that up. So who is that audience? Who I am trying to sell this service that I do. So what is the what? I provide real estate services. For who? Let's say for seniors, for 55 plus. I have a very beautiful community here where I live, where it is only for 55 plus community. So that's my audience, 55 plus. Why? Why do I want to do this? Because I feel that they need to be guided, and they need a good representation so they can get the best out of their money. They are usually in the retirement path, etc., etc., etc. The how. How is that delivery? It is how I am going to deliver, how I am going to be able to provide that service. What is the thing that I need to go on and become a master so I can be a valuable source? That's the how, the delivery. And when or where. So where are they? Where is that audience? How can I reach them? It's definitely you're not going to use Snapchat to find that audience. So where is that audience located? They're usually in the shopping centers, or they're usually in community gatherings. They are usually where they are. So as you can see, if you apply this what, who, why, how, and where constantly, or when, because sometimes you need also to put a timeline, this is going to help you to just clear your mind. Once you resolve all of these questions, and once you apply the questions over the questions, you are going to see that you have a clear roadmap to go and get any professional graphic designer or digital marketer or anyone that can help you with this. But since you have all the questions answered, and since you have such a clarity of what do you want to offer, it is going to be so easy to come up with your visual branding, with your logo, with your colors, with your service.
So, Juan, that's amazing advice. And to follow down this path, would you say that there are differences between a personal brand and a professional brand?
Oh, yes. And that is actually a great question, because sometimes there is a bit of a confusion. So it is really important to be associated with a big brand, with a big brokerage. The reason why is because that brokerage provides you with tools, with support, with assets, with platforms where you can become your own brand. The problem is when that brokerage tends to control your own brand and doesn't give you that freedom. That's a problem. And the reason why is because NAR stats show that a consumer, when it's time to buy a house or when it's time to buy a second house, only 3% of the people remember the name of the brokerage, but 97% remember the realtor. So it's really important that you work in your brand, that you do the homework on creating a brand around you and your service and your uniqueness, but being powered by a company that support you and your brand, and that gives you the access, the coaching, the training, the tools, the assets. Like, for example, Realty One Group, they do that really well. They make sure their brand is unique, their brand is fresh, and they pass that to their realtors and to their brokers. So they are able to be inspired. They're able to take that beautiful black and gold luxury, good looking style and translate that into their branding. So to answer your question, Pretty, is yes, be careful, be sure you create your own brand and associate with a company that allows you to have your own brand, but that enhance that experience and that enhance that brand by providing you tools, support, coaching, etc.
Well, you've given us great advice on what to do. Now, what are the things that should not be done? What are the mistakes to avoid?
Yes, a couple of things that come to mind. The first one is deliver. Make sure you deliver your promises. Don't bite more than you can chew. Remember that we are in a service industry and your word is your bond. If you don't deliver, there is nothing worse for any brand in the world. Any brand in the world, it's really hard to recover after you don't deliver what you have promised. So make sure you deliver. The second one is don't forget your brand. Keep it updated. Especially in the digital times, and everything moves so fast right now, and everyone is getting more and more access to social media, etc. Make sure you keep your headshots updated. Your content is fresh. Again, we are in this business of trying to build relationships on trust. And if your image is not updated, and if your message is old, and that sends a message. So try to keep those two things always present. Deliver and update your brand, update your image constantly.
Man, Juan, this has been incredible. Your expertise and advice in building brand will guide our listeners in the right direction to enhance their career and become unstoppable. So I can't let you go without saying again, those who know you do love you and know this about you. Your energy is both relentless and contagious. Where does that come from?
Oh, thanks. Thank you. Yes, I do everything with passion. And I am really passionate about everything that I do. And this comes from a really wise phrase that my mom always taught me. I came from a Latino mama, and she used to tell me, look, if you are going to do something, you better do it right. Otherwise, just don't do it at all. So I learned really early that I need to choose the things that I want to do. And because I wanted to do it, I'm going to put all the passion, and I'm going to make sure everything is done correctly. So when you finish with your task, or when you see the product that you create, or when you see what you're doing is fulfilling, that brings you more energy and brings you happiness pretty much. So yes, it's all about passion, and it's all about making sure I choose to do what I want, and I make sure I do it right. Otherwise, my mom is going to be very upset with me.
Again, Juan, our organization appreciates you more than you know, and personally, I'm honored to know you and call you a friend. And thanks to all of today's listeners. We trust you're walking away with next steps in building or modifying your brand and becoming the best you can be. If you'd like to know more about Juan, he can be reached at juanc@matilde.agency. That's JUANC@MATILDE.agency, or visit his website at www.matilde.agency. And if you'd like to explore the world of building a bigger professional brand, consider these topics and more at one.u. Simply search for Creating a Great Brand, On Purpose, Delivering a Branded Customer Experience People Love by Sean Smith and Andy Milligan. Top of Mind, Use Content to Unleash Your Influence and Engage Others Who Matter to You by John Hall and Scott Pollock. And remember, friends, together we will achieve greater success faster.